Hello, students. My name is Jacobie Backstrom. I serve as the program coordinator of TRIO Student Support Services here at Lone Star College North Harris, and welcome to the fourth episode of CATFLIX. You know, one of the things that I love about CATFLIX is that it highlights the stories of students that walk the campus every day here at Lone Star College North Harris. I'm excited because this week is First Gen Week. This is the week that we celebrate the students who are going to be the first in their families to ever graduate from college. I want to encourage you to register for classes. Registration is open for spring 2022. So I just want to let you know, stay focused, stay on track, and let's get into the episode. I am here with Alexis Gonzalez. She is actually a student here, a sophomore. She's about to graduate from Lone Star College, and she's just been accepted into Sam Houston State University. Hello, Alexis.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet y'all, and I hope that my story helps any one of y'all that might feel conflicted or lost or uninspired, because I completely understand.
Alexis, I'm really excited that you agreed to join me here today on this episode of CATFLIX. Just like you, I am an alumnus of Lone Star College, but I'm also a proud graduate of this college, and I'm excited. I'm a first generation college student, and I'm excited that I get to have and have these conversations with you about the importance of being a first generation college student. So before we get started, I just want to say, could you tell us about your story? Could you tell us about you and kind of how you got started in this?
Okay, and before I go in, thank you again to you as well and everybody else that's behind this program. I seriously am very thankful for this, and I'm more than happy to be a part of this since I know what y'all stand for is great. So going into my story, I'm actually from Mexico, from a small town in Tamaulipas named Miguel Aleman, and my family and I moved here around the time I was like 12 or 13, because stuff over there in that town was like getting bad, a lot of mafias and gangs and stuff like that, and there wasn't as much opportunities, and my mom just wanted to help my brother and I and herself achieve this American dream that so many of us immigrants dream about. And it's been hard, but I've been so thankful that my family has been able to make this choice and has had the wonderful opportunity to come here and everything, especially for me to be able to have a career and have a education and stuff. While over there, I remember I went to school for like one year, and it wasn't as great. There wasn't as much over there, and I'm just really, really thankful. And I've always loved coming to school over here, and very thankful for everything.
And you know what? We're absolutely excited to welcome you here. Well, actually, that you actually decided to be here too as well. I wanted to ask you, when you first began college, what were some of the people you connected with? Any advice to students on where they should be connected to first?
Definitely. Most of us might feel more comfortable connecting with people around our age, like friends that recently graduated in high school and that are going to university, or even a Lone Star itself. That's how I got started with my process. I remember at first I was unsure about coming to school because my family was struggling a lot financially. My mom is a single mother and I'm the eldest child. And I considered almost like not coming to school, but thankfully for this friend, he encouraged me to come to school. He started bringing me with him when he was trying to register and everything. And I actually met my best friend that works at admissions while he was working, Jesse. So shout out to him. Jesse has been amazing, and so have everybody else that is at admissions. For example, he explained to me the entire process and took me from start of the process to registration, which is like the end of the process. And I'm still very thankful that I was able to meet people that cared about me, that actually were there to help me get to the next step. I also connected with many great advisors. I have a few that I really love and I still go to this day.
Wonderful. And you know what? The great thing about that is that I can relate to you when I say when I first started at Lone Star College too as well. I met some of my best friends, right? And they're actually still my best friends. It's been 7 years since I graduated from Lone Star. So to be 7 years in, almost 8 years, it's amazing. So I'm glad that you got to establish that connection. I think it's very important for students within their first year to ensure that they're gaining that connection. And I'm really glad that you got that opportunity to meet a lifelong friend. So that's so what field do you want to get into? What field?
So I really was undecided as well my first semester, but I was between music and between psychology. But so far I am going into musical education.
Okay. And so you did not know that you wanted to do musical education before you got to Lone Star College.
No.
So it was really along your journey that you decided that that was kind of like your path.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, it's very interesting because a lot of students, they're very hesitant about coming to college, specifically as first generation college students, because they're unsure of their path. So what advice do you have for students that are still figuring out their path in life, career planning wise, things of that nature?
I would definitely obviously talk with an advisor, either an academic advisor or a more like personal, emotional advisor or a mentor. But what really helped me, that actually my advisor, one of them that I still go to today, Miss Raina Tippett, she recommended, oh, since you're between music and psychology, why don't you just take a class in both of those fields? So students, if y'all have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or as much as you might be interested in, do your research on whatever subjects it is that you're interested in. Maybe do like pros and cons lists, and definitely if you're able to, maybe at least take a class or two, and still take your core classes to at least get started with that, because that's what I did my first semester. And I'm very glad I did that. I didn't just put college off until I decided. I took some of my core classes and I took both of the 2 classes that were about the subjects that I was interested in. And with that, I was able to determine, okay, yeah, I really like the music field. And I still love psychology, but something about being able to see the difference of music now in a higher educational level compared to high school was very different and helped me.
And higher education, meaning like the college environment. I'm really glad that you mentioned finding a mentor, because our students, and it was me too as well, but our students along their path, along their educational path, they begin to question, right? They begin to question, you know, is this really for me? Is school really working out in my favor? So my question to you is, was there a mentor that you connected with? And do you see this mentor staying in your connections beyond your time here at Lone Star College?
Yes, definitely. I'm very extremely thankful. I've had quite a few mentors, but a lot of people find them in professors or teachers that they like. Some people might find them in religious groups like a priest or your own family members like aunts, uncles, grandparents. Um, but mine, for example, are three wonderful women that I am very happy to work with. Um, it's Miss Gina Spitia, Miss Magdalena Mendoza, and Miss Reina Tippett. These three women have always been there for me and are very strong women, very smart and intelligent in what they do. And I have definitely had those times where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, or like, oh my God, like I'm gonna fail these classes and stuff, or where I just felt like I was in a corner. And going with a mentor and talking about it, even just getting all of those negative thoughts out of your system can definitely help. And especially having another point of view that can be like, hey, if you're stuck in a rut, have you thought about this other solution?
Yes.
Or why don't you look at it in this way? And
And
it definitely helps.
I'm really glad that you talked about that, because I think it's important that I believe in organic like mentorship, like I believe in chemistry. So I think it's important that I'm glad that you have found three people that I know that you will stay connected with even beyond your time here at Lone Star College. I think that that's a very value adding experience to get connected with someone. For me specifically, that has been the foundation of who I am as a student, but also as a professional. So I think that's very important. And I'm glad that you shared that. So I want to ask you, what resources did you take advantage of here at Lone Star College? Were there resources available to you? And what advice would you give students about taking advantages of resources and support programs here at Lone Star College as a first generation college student?
There are so many, and trust me, there is a lot that you can get, things that I had no clue about. So maybe if you think about it, there is probably something for that. I, for example, like when I said that at times I have felt very discouraged and very unsure about my career or my education. Um, I have sometimes felt very um, emotionally drained. And one example of a resource that I love and adore is CIS, Communities in Schools. So shout out to Miss Holly Hill and to Adriana as well. They have been amazing. They have helped me so much with not just emotional stuff, but they go above and beyond to help me with other stuff that might be happening and to ensure that I'm on track with my education. Other resources that I can think about for our students here is we have, for example, disability services, which I also worked with Mr. Chris Weiser, and he has been amazing and always goes above and beyond for his students. Trio, shout out to y'all. The Women's Resource Center, shout out to Miss Brittany, and so on and so forth.
You're naming all of this, and you and I share a lot of things in common. When I was a student here at Lone Star College, I was a part of Communities in Schools too as well. And even the Communities in Schools coordinator who was manager who was there at the time, I still am connected to her today. Serves as one of my mentors too as well. She's a very strong person in my life. So I'm, getting involved in organizations are important. Being a part of support programs like TRIO, SSS, like Women's Resource Center, like Student Life, disability services. You hit it right on the nail. I appreciate
Students definitely get involved no matter at what educational level, or even if you're out of school, get involved with your community, because even if you might just think it's something small, it can definitely lead you to building more connections and finding out about other opportunities that you might have not known about.
Yes. Last question for you, Alexis.
Uh-huh.
Knowing, and I've asked this before to you, but knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time and talk to your freshman self, what would you say? What is one thing you would say to your freshman self?
I would definitely say that it's going to be okay, and that eventually I was going to figure out what I wanted to do. I remember my freshman self being so unsure about so many things and so afraid, and not being sure if I wanted to go to school or what career to go into, how I was going to afford school, and like a lot of questions. I didn't know the entire process of getting into school. And I found it like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to, or that I wasn't smart enough to get into school. And now I see myself, and I sometimes look back at my younger self and I'm like, I really wish I could give her a hug and let her know that it was all going to be okay, and to just go with the flow, follow your heart, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or what other people's dreams for you are. You need to do what makes you happy, because this is most likely what you'll do with the rest of your life.
You're over here, you're over here inspiring me. I'm almost forgetting I'm on the interview. That's amazing, Alexis. I genuinely appreciate you for taking the time out of being a part of CATFLIX. I want to encourage our students to continue to register for spring registration this year. Registration is open. Connect with your admissions specialists, connect with your academic advisors, and lock in those classes by having the conversation with financial aid. You can still do your FAFSA. I'm excited to welcome you all back again to spring 2022. I will see you soon, and thank you again, Alexis. Welcome to another episode of CATFLIX. Before we get into our guests, I want to let you know just some background on what CATFLIX is. CATFLIX is about sharing the stories of students, faculty, and staff that walk our campus every single day. It's also about highlighting the programs that we have to offer here at Lone Star College. Now, I do want to continue to let you know that this is registration, so continue to register for spring registration this year. Continue to have the conversations with the admissions specialists, continue to have the conversations with the academic advisors, and then secure your classes by scheduling an appointment to meet with a financial aid advisor too as well, okay? Now, this is First Generation Week, and I'm excited because we have an amazing guest. I have 3 fun facts about her. I'm excited about it. 1, she is the first in her family. She's a first-generation college student. She's the first in her family to ever graduate with a degree. She's also an alumnus of Lone Star College. She graduated with her Associate of Arts degree, an Associate of Science degree, and 3, she is the interim Vice President of Student Success here at Lone Star College North Harris. Please join me in welcoming Magdalena Mendoza Stark. Hi, Maggie.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you doing? I'm so excited that it's First Gen Week.
Yes, I am too as well. And you know, it's great because there's been so many activities that's been going on this week. And I'm just excited because students are really getting the resources that they need. They're being able to register on the spot, not only in the student services building, but outside in the courtyard too as well. So we're bringing academic advising to them. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. We got to be there. We got to meet students where they're at, right? And this has been an absolute amazing week of being able to support all of our students, but really embrace and create that awareness of owning that identity of being first gen. So it's been an amazing week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I really wanted to get into your story. Maggie, you know, I hear you have a very strong story and as a first generation college student. And let us know about yourself. Tell us some background about yourself.
Yeah, so let me start off with some of the identities that I absolutely identify with, because I think that really helps shape the story. First of many is how I would define a lot of the things that that define my educational and my professional and my personal career. So first generation Texan. My parents, I'm very proud of them. They're immigrants from Mexico. My mom and my dad came to the United States in order to have a better future and in order to be able to provide for their families. And that's exactly what they did. They were able to provide for our families in order for us to be able to go to college and have a better outcome when it comes to a life. So I definitely identify as first generation Texan, first generation college student. In addition to that, I am the first professional in education in my family as well. I'm one of the first females to obtain a master's degree, now working on a doctoral degree. You know, it's definitely a first of many things that I've been able to do. In addition to that, Texas forever, born and raised in Texas. This is home. In addition to that, like you mentioned, I am an alumni of Lone Star College. This is where I started. I had my start here, and I was able to then go to different universities since then in order to continue my educational and really my professional career. Fun fact, I actually started working at the advising and counseling office at the front counter. That was my first job, I guess you can say, in student services. And it's forever changed my life, right? Because I got the immense privilege of supporting other first generation college students just like myself. And really being in education really is something that's important to me, and working in education, because just a little bit about my family. My mom has a sixth grade education. That's the furthest she got in her education, right? And then my dad barely completed high school, but wasn't able to go to college because he wasn't able to afford it. And I don't want that to be the stories of others, right? So my parents made that ultimate sacrifice to come to the US. We grew up with very humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. You know, food insecurity, going to food banks in order to have enough food to eat. In addition to that, growing up without AC, right? It gets hot during the summer in Texas. That was always fun whenever the summer came around. And then whenever the winter came around, we just piled on the blankets on us because we knew that's the only way that we were going to keep warm. But that's really defined and helped some of the work that I get to do, and why it's so important that we address a lot of these issues, because I know if that happened with me, I'm not the only student or only staff member who's walking down our hallways with similar backgrounds or similar or currently in present situations as well.
You know, it's a bit different when you're now a professional and you start working with those students, and you remember back when you was a student and what those feelings were when you was a student and you were transitioning into college and things of that nature. Because when you're a first generation college student, you know, quitting is not an option. You know, you don't have that kind of consideration. And so I'm thankful that you actually shared that, because many of our students, faculty, our professors, and our staff members, we have our own set of identities. So really laying that out was really good. Thank you, Maggie, for that. So let's dive deep into your first, when you were in college. So when you first began college, what were some of the people you connected with? Any advice to students any advice for students who and where they should be connected to and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had two folks that come to mind right away. And one of them was a coordinator within the outreach department at the campus that I attended. And they really understood where I was coming from, being first gen, being Latina, trying to navigate the educational journey, and not really, I know I wanted to go to school and I know I wanted to do well, I just didn't know what resources I needed. And really this individual became my mentor, both educationally, but even both spiritually as well, right? And just helping me navigate that journey and remain very centered and very close to my faith at the same time. And because of them, it made things easier, but I still had to put the time and effort in order to do the hard work. A second individual who wasn't immediately connected to the campus I was going to was actually the doctor that I worked for. Little did I know he was helping me be a better professional working within his office, from the way that posture, from the way I communicated with patients to the way that I dressed. One day I remember a funny story. I remember I walked in and my scrubs were not tailored. They were much longer. So I just rolled them up and thought, hey, that's perfectly fine to show up to work like that. And he's like, next time, make sure you get your pants tailored. He's like, you always have to be presentable. You always want to make sure that you're a good representation of this office, because not only do you represent myself, but you also represent the work that we do here, right? Those two individuals were very critical, because even though one was from an educational field and one was from the medical field, they both valued education and both saw the importance of going to school and also being professional at the same time. So really the outreach coordinator and then also the advising team, they connected me to the advising team on campus, and that really changed the challenges I was having academically, because I kept switching my major, right? And then finally, once I connected with one specific advisor, they're like, no, this is exactly what you need to do. Here's your different options. Let's narrow down the scope. And really, I have to tell you, Jacobie, my advisors really supported me along the way after that, because then we would get connected. We would talk about what classes I needed to take next semester, which classes not to take together to kind of lessen the workload and balance things out. So I also owe a lot to our advisors at the campus that I started, because they were wonderful in putting me on a good path and making sure that I stayed on that path.
And it's really interesting how we reference back to those professionals that were in our beginning of our careers, right? Because they actually help us navigate, even if we don't know what we want to do, kind of navigate, some of the options that we have for ourselves. The fact that you were able to get connected with an academic advisor and really, stay consistent with them, that also means a lot too as well, because you get to build like meaningful relationships with them. I wanted to ask you, I know that, so it seems as though you were switching your major a bit at the beginning, right? And it's the same thing for our students too as well, because they're still trying to find, obviously, their identities. They're trying to figure out their path in life. And so now you're in higher education, right? And I assume this is the field that you are destined to be in. So did you already know that you wanted to be in higher education when you were a student? What advice do you have for students that are still figuring out their path in life?
So I literally grew up on a college campus. So one thing I didn't share earlier is that my mom's been a custodian at one of the college campus that I attended when I first started for my entire life. Ever since I was born, she's been a custodian there. So I literally grew up attending a college campus, but in a very different manner, right? I wasn't going there because I knew that education was going to be something I would do in the future. I was going there because I wanted to be able to see my mom and be able to spend time with her since she worked the evening shift. So I think seriously, it was just destiny that I was going to be working or be connected in some shape or form to a college campus. It was always part of my life. But really going back to being first generation and seeing the benefits of receiving an education and just the opportunities it has opened for me and for my family, it really solidified the decision to stay in higher ed. When I mentioned the doctor, so really, I was actually going into the medical field. So not only did I receive my associate's degree, I also was a part of the surgical technology program at Lone Star College Tomball. I graduated. I was in that field for a couple years, and that's kind of how I paid my way through school. But the doctor that I worked for, he really encouraged me to go back to school and focus on higher ed. Now, what happened or what helped is that the advisors, right, once I knew, yes, how do I get to do what you do? That's what I want to do. They connected me to all the different individuals within the student services department in order for me to learn what it is that they did each and every day. And because of that, it really helped me figure out, okay, this is it. This is the route I need to take. Now, what do I need to do for education wise? What do I need to do there? What do I need to do professionally? What experiences do I need to gather? And that's one of the biggest things that I would tell students. Explore. If you know someone who's in a job that you may have an interest in, connect with them, talk to them, right? Schedule a couple of minutes for you to know more about what it is that they do and see if they can connect you to other individuals. That way, while you're taking classes, you're also doing some career exploration. And the majority of campuses have career centers, right? Take advantage of those resources, do those assessments, make sure that you're on the right track, and get connected because they have so many things that they can provide you in order to make sure that you're on the right track as well.
One of the key words that you were saying was get connected.
Absolutely.
And ensuring that you find someone that can really lay out that plan for you and someone who's actually in the field that you're interested into as well. I think that's amazing because a lot of our students, you know, because of the thought of unknowing, it kind of makes them hesitant of even pushing forward. And the goal is to get connected with those resources and find a mentor who's in your field so that you can have a better view about what your goals are. You know, Maggie, I don't know if you know this, but you serve as a mentor to a lot of people that you engage with. I know that for a fact, specifically in the field. And when we say higher education students, we're talking about the college environment, right? So career fields in the college environment. But going into, I know that you mentioned mentors, so you did have a mentor, but tell me more about that relationship. Dive deep into what that meant for you. Was there any special people in your life that kind of came from your beginnings that you still stay in contact with and that you look up to?
Yeah, so absolutely. So one thing before I answer that question, for the students who are listening, you're probably like, yeah, it's much easier said than done to ask for help. I get it. I was there. I was that student who did not want to ask for help and was embarrassed to admit that I didn't know all the answers, right? But and really, whenever you're first gen, you're also battling with imposter syndrome. Do I belong? Do I not belong? Should I even be doing this? Should I not be doing this? And it kind of leads perfectly into why you need a mentor or why you need someone who's gone through the process who can kind of help you out, right? There's so many people out there who want to give back and want to help other people, but it's just a matter of you asking for that support, right? Because as soon as you ask, they're going to be like, absolutely, right? And Jacobie, thank you for saying that because that's my opportunity to be able to give back and make other people's journeys that much easier for them or for them to not make similar mistakes, whether they're students or whether they're professionals, right? I've had mentors, you know, the people who I look up to are my parents. I mean, my mom left her home when she was 14 years old to come to the United States. 14. I can't even imagine leaving my parents at the age of 14, stop my education, and go to this foreign place where I know no one and just work essentially for the rest of my life because I want a better future, right? She is the one that I looked up to because I was like, if she can do it, if she's able to go from nothing to what she has now, that's amazing. That means I have no room or no excuse to fail. I have to continue to push forward because I need to honor the sacrifices that she did for us in the future. Same thing with my dad. I mean, my mom worked the night shift. My dad was the one raising 3 girls. Poor man, he was raising 3 girls on his own. but he did the absolute best that he could with us, right? He taught us how to be good people, how to be giving individuals, even though we didn't have much to give, right? So early on, they've always been they're my counsel, as I call them. Whenever I'm about to make a big decision, I always connect with them and run things by them and see what they think. But along the way, like I mentioned, whenever I started going to college, I too got mentors there who were walking me through the journey. And I think that's important to note, is that mentors come in different shapes and forms. There's mentors who are in your professional life, and your spiritual life, and your educational life, but then in your professional life. And as of recently, the past couple of years, I've been able to really have the opportunity to have some amazing professional mentors who I really look up to. There's two individuals specifically that I can think about that I really admire just how hard they work, their true, genuine care for our students, and just that they're not afraid to challenge the status quo and to make good things happen in order for our students to have a better experience, right? So I think whenever you're looking for mentors, you're going to be looking for something different in each individual. Someone who's going to help you through the educational journey, someone who you're going to want to talk to about how to be a professional, someone who's going to help you with the personal things, right, in your life. Mentors are going to be needed for different things, but you need to ask. You need to reach out to people and to say, hey, help me figure this out, because I can't do it on my own. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need some extra help here. I need someone to guide me through. That way I have a better understanding of how to get through this. And then I can then turn around and help other people along the way as well.
Wow. Okay, I have to gather myself because that was very deep what you said. For me personally, I agree with you, because mentorship is about a chemistry. It's very meaningful, and it can really contribute to your life. And I love how you started from your parents on up, and even at the level that you are at. Owning the fact that you do have a mentor and how important that is, and how even when you are about to make the big decisions in your life, whether personal or professional, you're able to go back to those amazing people in all areas of your life who you consider mentors to really assist you in guiding your decision. And I believe the same thing is true for our students. To take advantage of that, I believe in, even on the professional end, if you can find someone who can be lifelong mentors on your path to success, whatever that looks like for you, and then do that. Take advantage of that opportunity. So my question to you now is, was there a time when you had questions while pursuing your degree? So when I say this, I specifically mean, was there frustration, right? A lot of our students, they get into this, frustration part, like, when is it going to be over for me? Like, when am I going to get into my field? Like, so what advice do you have for our students that are having that kind of frustration in the middle of their degree, in the beginning? What does that look like?
Oh, man. Great question. Slow and steady wins the race. It really does. Whether you're taking one class at a time, whether you're taking two classes at a time, the purpose is to continue and to not stop, right? You've got to do a little bit here and there. In addition to that, it's important that you utilize the resources that are available to you. Right? If you are struggling in something, and I will share with you, math was the one subject I had to retake math several times. And even in graduate school, I had to take math. And then in the doctoral program, I had to take math. So math was never out of the equation for me. And that's always an area in which I struggled with. So I had to take it upon myself to say, either A, I'm going to fail, or I'm going to be frustrated this entire time, or I'm going to utilize the resources that are available for me, tutoring, right? in order for me to not fail this class and to be successful and just get it out of the way, right? And I think that's really important, is that if this were easy, everybody would do it, right? If going to school was easy, everybody would be going to school. And you know what, folks? There's probably a lot of your friends and you who are going to school, but take the time to also think who's actually making progress, right? And whenever you start thinking about that, then what happens is, oh, well, such and such started but never finished. Well, such and such started and made it to their very last semester but didn't complete it. Don't let that be you. Slow and steady wins the race, but then also asking for help is going to help you. You've got to get connected. You've got to make those connections with the different resources that you need, because there's nothing wrong for asking for help. And that's the one way that you're going to be able to continue to make progress.
Wow, I'm glad that you highlighted that. So even her students, she talks about the struggle of math, right? And taking advantage of tutoring. Here at Lone Star College, again, North Harris, we have support programs like TRIO Student Support Services. We have tutoring. We have SSI, Student Success Institute. So we have CIS, we have disability services that is available. And CIS means communities in schools. So we have different resources that are available to you. So students, take advantage of that. And I know that contributed to the success of our vice president. And I could say the same thing for me as an alumnus of Lone Star College North Harris specifically. It contributed to me too as well. So Maggie, I have one last question. And before I ask you this question, I want to encourage our students this is first generation week. So definitely comment below, like and share. We would like to know what your thoughts about this interview is. It was amazing. So the last question that I have is, knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time and talk to your freshman self, what would you say?
Dun, dun, dun. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself and to be the first of many things. Being the first of many takes a lot of courage. Courage to admit that you don't know. Courage to admit that you need help. Courage to navigate the process. Courage to sit among colleagues that came from maybe privileged backgrounds and maybe don't understand the background that you come from, right? Courage to say, you know what, there may not be a lot of people that look like me in these positions, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to figure it out some way or shape or form. I'm going to figure it out, right? Courage to speak up for other people that may not be accounted for in certain conversations. I think if I would have had courage from the very beginning, I wouldn't have made so many mistakes, right? Yes, have I achieved academic success? Yes, I have. But there was a lot of mistakes that I had to go through and experiences that I had to navigate in order to get to where I am now. Am I, in this position that I've always dreamed about being in? Absolutely. But I've also had to make a lot of time and effort and sacrifices and mistakes along the way. And courage is the one thing that I wish I've had from the beginning versus later on, because it would have made that process a lot much easier. Courage to do all things, to be the first of many, to ask for help, but then also to have confidence in yourself, right? When people are telling you, hey, what's the point of going to school? Just come and work here and you'll make a decent living. You have to have confidence that I'm doing the right thing, because going to school right now, it's a long-term investment. And that's how you have to see it, is the time and sacrifice and the effort that you're putting in it's not for immediate and instant gratification. It's a long-term investment that you're making in yourself. And for those that go on to have families, for the investment in your families that you will have, because you will be able to provide them that much better opportunities than what you had growing up. Right? So have courage, have confidence in yourself, and know that there's so many people here who are eager to help, to mentor, to help guide you. Let us know, reach out to folks. You know, if you all are want to get connected with me, Jacobie, make sure that my information is down below. That way they have that. That way we can get connected or something on campus while they're here, while students are here, just because this is just my story, but there's so many other amazing stories of staff members, of faculty, of students that we have here at North Harris. And, you know, that's what makes this campus great, is that we're all coming together with various different backgrounds, wanting one thing, and that is a better future for us, for our loved ones, and for our families.
Wow, thank you, Maggie. I learned a lot about you, but I'm sure that our students did too. And I hope that they felt that connectedness to you too, as well as you shared your story today. I do want to continue to encourage our students to register for spring registration. Continue to lock in those classes, have those conversations with your academic advisors. Still continue to take advantage of First Gen Week. It's still not over. All right, so this is me concluding it. Thank you so much, Maggie, and everyone have a wonderful day. Bye.